Hello and welcome back to working on our archway in Maya, where we're going to apply a texture onto the front, side and top, and we're going to do this by assigning different colors. A slightly unique way to doing it, but one that will be good practice when applying certain colors to things, which can be later on used in Substance Painter when making color maps. So, to start off, I'm going to go right into Windows. We're going to create our materials in Rendering Editors, Hypershade. And here we've got our different shades. Can I make them bigger? Nope, can't make them bigger. So we've got our standard, we've got Lambert 1, and my rule of thumb is do not mess with Lambert 1, only create new ones. And here you can manage them, and so that if you create a lot of them, you can control and manage, etc. It's always good to keep things tidy. So over here in Create, we can go click on Lambert, and I've got a new one. I'm using generic Lambert, and I'm going to rename this Archway Front, and I'm going to set this the color red. There we go. Another way you can create materials, if you go to Create here, Materials, and just find Lambert. And this one will be Archway Side. I'm going to make this one a blue. You don't have to pick these colors, I'm just using the generic ones at the moment. And last one, Lambert. Come move this guy. I'm going to try and move things around so I can keep things nice and neat, because I'll be needing these to select later on. So I'm going to go Color, Green, and I'm going to rename this one. You may have guessed it. Archway Top. So there we go. I've got my three main colours to work with. I'm just going to minimize that because I need that later, and I'm going to select my mesh and just very quickly right click and go holding it down and going all the way so you can see these menus. So if I want to go faces, vertex, edges, I can do it like this, but I'm just going to go all the way down to the bottom and assign existing materials, and here's all our existing materials. I'm going to select front. If it's not going red, it could be that you've got textures turned on and off. So just be aware of this little guy over here. Because I'm just using generic colors, it'll show up either way. And now I'm going to go side view. Now this is the tricky bit. I'm going to go to Modeling Toolkit, get the faces, and in the faces here, I'm just going to put my mouse here and just click and create a thin selecting area, and do this in the center of my model because I want to select the sides but not the front sections, and just to make sure that I've done this right. And that looks right. I can also go to wireframe mode by clicking this or pressing 4 on my keyboard, and I can see, yes, I've selected sides but not the front. I'm going to leave the front alone now. So with that, I'm going to right click, hold down, go to the bottom of Assign Existing Material and select Archway Side. And those sections should go blue. And finally, we want to, so that's quite easy on. Now the top part is going to be a bit more tricky because we have to manually select things. So I'm going to select this, holding Shift and selecting these top bits here, and assign top selection there. And I want, click on that, hold Shift and double click. If you do it quickly enough, you can just select that part without selecting the entire mesh. If you make a mistake, click away and try again. So now Archway Top, and I'm going to double click there. Archway Top, so remember, click, hold Shift and double click, and then you can assign. So I'm going for every section that's pointing upwards or even downwards. So next part we have these little segments here, so I'm going to click on there, hold shift, double click, and I'm going to do the same here, click, then double click. You can see my cursor change whenever I hold shift. So now I can go assign existing material, top, and that's looking good. And I'm also going to do these last segments here, click, hold shift, double click, I'll just assign that, then click onto here, hold shift, double click, and assign top material there. Now if you do accidentally assign the wrong material, you can always left click and assign the correct one, so don't worry if you make mistakes. So I'm going to select these two underneath and select the top, go here and go underneath the archway because I'm using the top texture for this one, and the same on here, so it's all the same. I could use the side for that one, but it'll just stretch and look horrible, so I want to use the top. And also this lip bit under here, I'm going to do the same to you. So it's the material, top. And now I'm just going to have a good look at my archway. So top, yeah, those sections look good. Side ones. You could argue this bit could be either top or bottom, but I'm going to keep it, front and side. I'm going to keep the, the angled bits there. And the same here, so I'm quite happy with those. Ooh, missed a bit here. So that needs to be the side. It's always good to double check things and just make sure. Ooh, I want that to do what I want it to do. Okay, one last look. Yeah, I'm very happy with all that. Probably this is a good chance to go File, Increment and Save. Now the easy part. Well, kind of easy. I'm going to start going into my UV, and to get yours you just need to go to Windows, and there we go. Under Modeling Editors we have UV Editor, and it'll pop up like a window like this. I personally like to dock this, so I'm just going to minimize that guy. I want to grab this tab and try and snap it to here, and you try and, it's always a bit tricky, easy with a mouse, just snap it into here. So now they're docked in there. I can always open them when I need to. Just my cursor there, just move things around. There you go. That's much easier. But for us to make sure that our faces fit on the texture, we need to assign a texture. So going back to the hypershade, and if you've closed yours down previously, it's under Rendering Editors Hypershade, and we're going to start with the red, and I want to assign a new material. So next to the color we have these different nodes, and I click on the checkered square button, and here I can select different things, and this one here is File, and I'm going to call this file Archway Texture, so I know what that is. And now I can click on the little folder icon here, which should take me to my Archway. That's in the Archway scenes. That's not where I want to go. Source images, and there we go. Now make sure you have the map selected, and we can click on to open. As you can see in our weird example here, it's been assigned. So I'm just going to minimize this down here, and we can see. Oh, that's not showing up because I've got textures turned on. Let's make sure that's selected, and there we go. It's worked in a sorts, but it hasn't laid it correctly. So we need to fix this. Just going to bring this up, and here we go. Archway front. I'm going to right click, and we want to find select objects with material. That's very important. That's why I'm going to keep minimizing that. And over here in our UV toolkit, you see I've got Create Open. And I'm going to click on Handler or Planer. And it gives us this weird little section here. I'm going to click the little cross down here. Then I can have the option to move, scale, and rotate. I want to rotate this. And rotate it like so. Now, you know me, I like to have the whole numbers. So I'm going to go over to Attribute Editor. And as I rotate this, you can see the numbers change here. I'm rotating too much. I'm also looking over here, and about 0 seems to be right. Yeah, 0 gives me a nice flat area. And I'm just going to press W. Oh, press this viewpoint. Control Z, W. And now I can move it along. I'm going to get Scale 2, which is R on your keyboard, and just scale this right in. Now I do have it so that my texture, I've clicked this little button here so I can see through my textures, just in case yours is a bit too bright. So just is a lot of adjusting. You could actually grab the UVs here and move around like vertices, and it only affects the way the texture lays, but I'm just going to manipulate it this way. A bit tedious, I know, but it gets the job done. I'm just going to make sure not too tall. Down a bit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look around my object. It seems okay. Don't see any brazen white bits poking out, the white sections over here. We can always adjust it later, so click away. Unfortunately, we've got these cut edges here, which doesn't help, but it looks okay. So, and beautifully, because it's done it to both sides, that's laid out beautifully. So we're going to do rinse, repeat, and do the same for the other section. So back into my hyper shade. And it's made a bit of a mess here. I'm just going to move things around so it makes a little bit more sense. Not sure what that is. I'm just going to put it over there. Don't need to look at it. Now, I'm going to move the side bit here. Now, I could assign the texture back on the same as I did before, but then I'd be creating another texture file. If we look at textures here, I just want to work on this one. So with it already connected to the front, I'm just going to grab this little node here for color. I'm just going to link it over to color here. And there you go. So the side is connected to the texture file. So now I can right click and hold, select object with material, go back into Maya and minimize that for now. We've only got side view to see it's got the pieces there. Do similar when we get the plane, create plane, and that looks like it's pointing in the right direction. If not, you can always adjust the things here. I'm quite happy with that, so I'm going to press R to get the scale tool, and now I can just manipulate it into where I want it to be. Should I make a bit just switch? You can take way more time. I'm doing this rather quickly, and that does actually look pretty good. Okay, that was quite a straightforward, easy one. And finally, the top section. Making a bit of a mess here. I don't know why this keeps oh, let's have a look. Don't know why that keeps insisting on doing it. I'll just move you over there because I want. So what I'm doing, I'm clicking and using my middle mouse button to move, my left mouse button to move things around. So I'm just going to grab these guys, and I want to connect this one up. So I'm going to click on the color and link it to there. There you go. So the top is also using the same texture, and it just makes it a lot easier now. They're all using the same texture and it's nice and neat. So now, now I need to select the node. So left click, then right click and hold. Are you going to let me? There we go. So select objects with material, and I can minimize that hopefully for the final time because it's selected all the top things. So now we're going to go to create planar or planner, I'm not sure how that's pronounced, and I'm going to go click on this guy. It's very awkward to click those little lines down there. Just rotate it. I'm using this visual as a guide as well. Okay, so I see the numbers going down here, so I want 0. This one would be 0 because it's quite close to that. And oh, already at 90 degrees, that's good. Going back to here and pressing R to scale and just bring it in. And switching between move and scale, so that's W for move and R for scale. And again, like we did before, just doing some light tweaking. Actually, I'll scale that. Actually, I'm going to minimize a few things. I don't need the attribute editor anymore. I'm happy. And this just allows me to really see what I'm doing. That's always handy. Just going to look at the bottom here. That's a little bit off there. So good, scale it there. Move you a smidge to the side. The top sections are looking really good, but I'm not happy. So I'm going to select that face and I'm going to manually, it's probably a good example of manually moving things around till I can actually select that and just yeah, I'll probably do a little bit with this one. No, I'm actually quite happy with that. And this is the moment to take a good look at it. So I'm going to go into object mode. Ooh, actually, it's probably easy if I do this in the modeling toolkit or this icon here and just click on mesh, click away. You can see I've got a few bits on the front. Just looks like the front section is giving me some work. So I'll click on this. And over my UV toolkit, I'm just going to click on toolkit and we're going to click on what we call shells. So we've got UVs, edges, faces, UVs, and shells. You can see here it's selected. So I can click and drag and select all this. Minimize that for now. I'm just going to make this. Going to make these areas a bit tighter. I think. That's pretty tight there. I'm just saying these sections here. Not quite. Everywhere else looks fine. So I'm going to UV toolkit. I'm going to get the faces. I'm just going to grab this face. I'm actually going to move it a smidge to the side here. And noticing this one's got a bit at the top there, so smidge to the side. And I'm going to get some UVs and just select. Oh, I'm going to get UVs because if I select these ones, it's probably a good example. And if I move them together, you can see it affects those and affects the texture there. So I'm going to get the UVs. You're going to have to really get used to using these. Just make a few adjustments. You guys can spend a lot more time doing this. So let's have a look to mesh again. And yes, I am very happy. And there you go. You put the texture onto the archway and it looks really good. ready to use within a game. So hope you found this handy, and always remember, file, increment and save. Until next time, I'll see you later.